Hello and welcome to my review of the statue of Gali Motorball by Prime One Studio. Gali is the main character of the manga series GUNNM, also known as Battle Angel Alita. Gali is the name given to her by Ido at the beginning of the manga, and Alita is the name given to her by Nova when trying to rewrite her as a soft girl. In the manga, after the death of Hugo, Gali throws herself into Motorball, a bloody sport in which cyborgs battle to the death for the control of the motorball, a heavy spinning ball giving its name to this sport. The motorball was featured in the live-action movie, but if it's the only time you saw it, you are really missing out.
Oh, crap.
For first, you saw none of the story and its amazing characters. Fights also feel a lot more grounded in the manga, which contrasts with the floating heads of the live-action movie. The violence and madness are clearly toned down in the movie, especially for the spectators who in the manga are at a risk of getting crushed, or for a chance to get closer to the idols. I'm also very annoyed that in the live-action movie they break the rules of the motorball and the laws of Salem. This guy is using weapons that are not attached to him. He shouldn't be allowed to race. In the manga, this Kendoka has his weapon merged with his left hand. Peshkaz has to break a part of himself to throw it. Since it's forbidden by Zalem to have any sort of gun, the weapon of this guy is not allowed either.
Ouch! You know that hurts!
However, the worst offense for me of the live-action movie is to borrow from a great scene in the manga when Gali confronts Yashugan, the emperor of the motorball, to let her instead offer her heart, literally, to Yugo.
I'd give you whatever I have.
What are you doing?
I'd give you my heart.
It's okay. Put it back.
I don't hate the movie, it was just not as good as the manga, but coming back to this statue, it being inspired by the manga and not the movie was the major selling point. The box art is great, I like this illustration spanning the two sides of the box. The flat part of the base lets us know that the statue is not unrelated to the movie. The base lights up, which is a cool feature, but it's not very flattering, so I don't think I'm going to use it, at least not by itself. The lights don't feel out of place in the context of the motorball. I really like the textures and the greybling, either on the base or on Gali herself. The face of Gali is flawless, and her mouth is perfect. From the right perspectives, she looks exactly like she's out of the manga. What an incredible sight. I let you appreciate how the left elbow and shoulder look exactly like in this cover. Here's a comparison for the hair and the helmet. Here's a comparison for the back. Here's a comparison for the legs, and you can see the merit of the additional textures and details when none of the original design is lost. I'm also very happy with half the head of this Kendoka being featured. So overall, a lot of good points for this figure, but I have two big complaints. My first complaint is the size of the motorball. I think its diameter is too big, of at least 1 centimeter or half an inch. The camera of my phone doesn't do a good job of showing it, so here's an official picture, and even here I don't find it as apparent as in the real life. In the manga, compared to the size of Gali, the motorball is smaller than depicted by this statue. It is about the length of her forearm. In the manga, the motorball is said to be 30 cm wide. If that includes the peripheral motors, and I believe it does, that means a quarter of it should be 7.5 centimeters, against 9 centimeters for the statue, which indeed makes the motorball of the statue too big of at least 1 centimeter in diameter. The second complaint I have is with the blades. I haven't mentioned yet the options, and there's an alternative head that I haven't used and won't show. Another option is an alternative left arm. The two blades are different. The one on the bottom is one of the two twin thin blades that Gali uses at the beginning. These twin blades get damaged and their metal get merged into a single thick blade. It's the one on the top on the left arm. It means that these two different blades cannot coexist and shouldn't be displayed together. But we have no right arm with no blade to go with this left arm and the thick blade. At the same time, we have no left arm with a second thin blade to go with this right arm with a thin blade. I'm so disappointed. I was so sure we would get the correct options to display Gali with either the thick blade or the twin thin blades. So I'm disappointed and I would gladly pay a bit more to have these options. Seriously, Prime 1 Studio, if you're watching this video, you must release the good spare parts. That really was the main thing I had to say. If you agree, please like and subscribe in case it helps. Speaking of the fig blade, since it is also featured in the previous statue, here is how the two depictions of it compare. I personally prefer the previous one with the Damascus pattern a lot more visible. On that note, I think that the Damascus pattern on the thin blade is rather dimmed. The heads are very similar in terms of size and look, which is great. Here's how the two statues look next to each other. The bust of her dreaming is at a slightly bigger scale, but I'm okay with that. Overall, I'm satisfied with this statue of girl in Motorball, and with the right angle, I can't forget that she's missing the left thin blade.